All right, we're gonna see if we can join from in a different way. We'll join from our stream, where I'll try to push it both to X and our YouTube platform. So let's see if that works. Um, Adding Eivydas.
Hello, hello.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, amazing. Videos. I've got my camera on. I'm not sure if you can see me, but I'm trying something new. I'll try to push that both to YouTube and X as well. I'm still learning, so you have to forgive me my clumsiness around the tech. Uh, but yeah, it's
No
all
worries.
third
I don't
way.
know what happened on X, but I couldn't hear you at all. Maybe it was on my end. I'm not sure, but I could hear other stuff, just not the X spaces for some reason.
Yeah, amazing. All right, got you now. Perfect. Well, I'm not sure if this is already going on our platforms. I think it should be. And let me just check on the. Uh, yeah, we're recording. Blah blah blah. So I can see the previous space. I'm not sure if this. No, we're live. It says we're live, so I think we're fine. Um, and yeah, I think I'll have to go through this experimentation phase with you. Apologies for
No worries.
that.
That's
How
how we
have you
roll,
been?
always.
How
Good,
have you
yeah,
been?
good. I'm back in Lithuania right now.
Yeah,
So yeah, basically building through
I
this whole,
see.
bear cycle. It's the time to build. We also have a lot of, stuff from EU coming in, so trying to just, get ahead of it. Well, get in time for it, basically, at this point, because July 1st is on the corner.
Right.
So yeah, but all
That's
is
what I want
good.
to go through. I wanted to get you on the show and have a conversation with kind of what's happening, like what is the legal framework for living on Bitcoin in EU.
Yeah,
But we'll get to the nitty gritty of bits of those things in a minute. First of all, I just want to give a little bit of context. We've met before. We've went to a Bitcoin walk before a few times and had good conversations. And I quickly grasp uh, like what you're doing, and I think that that you're actually contributing to the Bitcoin community a lot in terms of onboarding and in terms of UX that Wave Space is presenting. So I think it's a really good thing for someone who's starting up the journey to check out with how to get their sats into their private wallets. I think what WaveSpace is doing great is actually emphasizing the importance of self custody. So the moment you make a transaction, because you are an exchange.
mhm,
And much more than that as well, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But the moment you buy SaaS from WaveSpace, basically it encourages you to withdraw them to your wallet, and I think that this is the right way to educate people and to help people understand the silent revolution that is self custody. Um, so let's just go back and tell me about your journey and how WaveSpace was created. A bit of a timeline, how you got to
yeah,
to your co-founders and get the party started.
yeah. So maybe starting from the beginning, me and Felix, we met in this other company called Mode, which was a UK banking app back in 2019. And that's where we got some kind of a grasp of what it takes to bridge Bitcoin to traditional finance in a way. We went through all of the registrations in the UK, with FCA. That was a nightmare. Um, but basically, we were able to offer on and off ramp as an app. We were able to offer a yield product. And, basically the difference from what we have here today at WaveSpace is that that product was custodial, or like basically based around custodial kind of banking services. So we got a bit of a taste of that, and then parted ways at some points, worked for other companies. And in 2024, Felix reached out because we always kept in touch as Bitcoiners, sharing problems, sharing, stories and all that. And he's like, look, you know, I'm a Bitcoiner, you're a Bitcoiner, we have the same problem. We have Bitcoin, we want to live on it basically, but it's super hard. And for Felix, even at I think it was at the Riga's conference that he realized, there's a bunch of Bitcoiners, but everyone's still like, obviously, like Lightning is there, but it's the merchants are not even accepting it, right? And we want to see that end game, but it's just not there. I'm living my life, I need to buy groceries, I need to pay rent, I need to book flights. All of that is going to happen in fiat, not because I want to, but because the other side is taking that only, and I have to deal with it somehow. So he was like, the building blocks are ready. That was in 2024. We can build a banking experience around Bitcoin, but with a very important twist, which is we are going to be promoting self-custodial Bitcoin specifically. And
Mhm.
that's, I think, the positioning for WaveSpace. Like, basically, that's the main positioning for WaveSpace. And we
Mhm.
started building these products with an idea that, we have this experience of building banking apps and building fintech kind of, products. We want to build something that looks like a Revolut app, but it's based on sound money. Um, and in 2025, we launched this first product. It was essentially first an on and off ramp, which allows you to get an IBAN in your own name. You buy straight, any euros you send get automatically converted to Bitcoin, and then you just withdraw it to your self custody. And we just prompt you with a destination request. You put it in, it gets withdrawn. All of that in one single flow, as opposed to you having to deposit into an exchange manually, then having to make a trade, choose the prices, and then having also to manually withdraw. Now, actually, fast forward to now, we have fully automated this. So we have this new product called Link, which gives you an IBAN for a specific wallet, and you set it up once, and then you just keep sending euros. It just automatically goes to self custody. You don't even need to open the app. We
That's
have a
amazing.
debit card as well. So, now at this point, we have this like almost, I would say, a full suite of banking services. We are trying to be, as we call it, a self-custodial Bitcoin neobank. Um, and yeah, provide everything you need to do in one single place with your self-custodial Bitcoin.
That is awesome. That's great. Great information, and I think it brings Bitcoin much closer to people who are just starting their journey, who are maybe not familiar with like buying things on RoboSats or KYC free stuff, and then playing
Yeah,
with all the tech that's been around and the Bitcoiners kind of are familiar with. But I think what WaveSpace is making also in terms of UX is actually super cool because your application it's a progressive web app, right? It's still something that you just save as a web page on your phone, so you're agnostic from
yeah.
you works on any device basically.
Exactly. I mean, we have people using it on Graphene OS as well, on any device. We are going to be developing a native app. It's just that it's a much bigger undertaking, and also get another stakeholder, app stores and all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
on
yeah,
on
yeah.
your neck. But yeah, currently it's a web app. It works. It's fast. You can put it on your home screen. And yeah, just on your point about the KYC free versus us, being like this kind of a first stepping stone, that's a very important point that I think I want to emphasize. Obviously, there are a niche of Bitcoiners that go all the way private, and I commend that. The reality is that you just cannot expect the pragmatic majority to keep buying gift cards to shop everywhere, or to just go meet someone to exchange sats, or use, or even pay 10% premium to do a KYC free transfer.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a number of people that do that, and that's, I think, perfect for them. It's private, and there's no denying. We are not even competing with that. We are competing with the likes of Revolut, and we are competing with, let's say, the normal banking apps that are just providing services for your fiat, because we just have two goals. We want you to get off of fiat, and we want to get you into self custody. Those are the two first steps. And then, even if you're using our debit card because the other side is not accepting, Bitcoin payments natively, at some point they will. And we still recommend people to ask for native Bitcoin payments, because yes, basically I'm going like, do you accept Bitcoin payments? No, I'm still gonna be paying with my Wave card. But
Yeah.
if you're gonna be accepting Bitcoin payments directly, it's gonna be better for me and you, because I don't need to pay a middleman anymore to exchange from Bitcoin to fiat.
Yeah.
So it's still the same end game that we want. It's just that we have a different approach of how to reach it. We're just trying to get as many people as possible onto the Bitcoin standard, even if it means that they need to still convert it back for the time being.
I get that, and I think this is a great work for a lot of people who are, as you say, maybe want to be on the safe side. Maybe they want to, run like learn the ropes first in a way that is transparent completely. So with WaveSpace, actually, when you make a transfer to WaveSpace, you're just sending money to yourself, right? To your own another IBAN account. So your
Yeah.
bank you're selling from can see that, okay, the guy is just sending money from one account to another account in his name,
Yeah.
rather than sending that to Coinbase or Binance or Kraken exchange, which I know that some banks are blocking those transactions or questioning those transactions. Can you tell a little bit more about the advantages of your approach versus
Mhm.
the big?
Yeah, so that's actually one of the main reasons we even started this, because we had the same problems of like banks just saying you can't do this, or like send us the whole history before we allow you to deposit some money there. Usually it's just directly in their T's and C's that we're not going to be facilitating payments to exchanges. In some countries like Cyprus, it's even like across all banks, and we have a lot of customers there just saying like, guys, finally I can use you, because we give an IBAN in your own name, which means that, as you said, it's an interpersonal transfer. And funny thing is that it's even protected under EU regulation. There's this anti-discriminatory directive that says you have to allow transfers to other IBANs in the EU state, right? And because it's also in your name, they cannot stop it. Like they see it's the same person. It doesn't mean that it's guaranteed. Like banks still do funny business, because there's no like enforcer going every day to check whether they are complying with these directives. But most banks, especially neobanks, are just they see it's your own account and they make a transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, other Coinbase and all these guys, they usually just give you like a pooled account in some random name, and you deposit into it, you withdraw from it. I think some exchanges like Kraken now also started having personal
Perfect
IBAN.
design
So
now, right? Yeah.
yeah, it's getting better, and it's just the way to go. We were one of the first ones to do it because we were able to. Others are catching up. But yeah, that's how you have to roll in Europe.
So here's an anecdote that actually happens to me. I was making a withdrawal from one old school traditional banks to another bank in my account, and I had a call from the bank say, "Hey, we just want to make sure that this is you."
Mm.
Like security check, and they asked me the question like, what do you need to, why are you moving this much money? What's the purpose? And I just said, well, I'm planning to have a sex change operation. And
Stopped asking immediately, right?
asking like, okay, well, stupid question, stupid answer,
Yeah, yeah.
but that's very satisfying in the sense that you can tell the banks, it's none of your business. I'm just
Yeah.
moving my money away, and yeah, and I guess for anyone who's kind of dip their toes into the Bitcoin rabbit hole, and understands the power and the empowerment that comes through self custody, and the fact that nobody, like no bank, no institution,
Mm.
can mess up with your wealth and the way you spend your money, or you want to deal with your money. It's really a big thing. Um,
Mm.
Eivydas, tell me about what's going on in EU, because we've got like I'm kind of watching it, but you're much closer to that. So we've got the Mika, we've got the travel rule, we got the DAC 8. Can you guide us through this labyrinth of artificial legal framework?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have to preface it. I'm not a legal person, so they don't take it, as
Sure.
truth, as the truth. But I'm just, building products there. I'm at the forefront trying to make it kind of still pragmatic for everyday users, so that it's not this, dystopian kind of reality that it almost is here. Yeah, well, I mean, some stuff you just have to comply, and the reality, for example, of the DAC 8, which came in first this year from January 1st, is that um, DAC 8 requires all KYC exchanges and all, basically crypto services to track transactions, which means that technically, wherever you are as a tax resident, you have to pay taxes. And currently, up until now, it was self-declared. I transacted this much. They might be able to request those transactions manually from an exchange, and that exchange probably would give it. But now there's a framework to automate this reporting. So that is the automation of these transactions. Which is going to come into effect from 2027. But for the year of 2026, the transactions are already recorded. And basically, you can expect that if you are, let's say, a tax resident in Germany, from 2027, Germany is going to know that you transacted this much within the KYC services. If you extract, if you withdraw it to self custody and then you do, further transactions, that's obviously whatever,
So
but
let's build on that case, and let's say I bought a KYC Bitcoin, and then moved it into Lightning, and I spent it. I bought some coffee, I paid for dinner. Is that okay? Can I do that?
I mean, you can do whatever you want, obviously, but yeah, I mean, like the DAC 8 is gonna see it up until the point you exit the KYC environment, right? You
Yeah.
you withdraw it via Lightning to your own wallet, and then if you do native payments, just by design, it's still just between you and the seller. Um, it's everything that still includes these centralized databases that have your tax identification number alongside the transactions.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
that's tracked,
What
and
I'm
that's all that's automatically reported.
What I'm trying to get to is, like, okay, there's some officials in some countries, let's say in the Netherlands, they're introducing the 36% unrealized capital gains tax.
Mhm.
It's a suicidal move, I think, and a lot of people will just opt out and leave that jurisdiction. Um, and I'm just wondering, like, I can clearly see that the framework they're building, it's unscalable. I mean, they might think that they can actually try to track all the transactions with some AI algorithms, whatever. I
Mhm.
don't think that's feasible, and I think that it's again the case of let's try to over-regulate the market that is so nascent that we don't even give it a chance to flourish.
They drop rules on us, but the enforcement of it again is a big question. I don't know exactly how are they gonna do this automated collection of everything, because it's still multiple jurisdictions having to collect it from all these like different services. They are just trying to make sure that at this point, we have to collect it, right, from 2026. They will figure it out how to then extract it from us automatically at some point in 2027. That's how I understand it. But yeah, on your point about like these unrealized taxes, that's crazy. Fortunately, we're still in a free market and free movement where we, as global citizens, we can choose where we want to reside and what kind of jurisdiction we want to um, kind of liaise with, right? So there
Yeah.
are still good choices, I think, out there. And that's what I recommend, basically, just relocate to a jurisdiction that has 0% taxes or has logical, at least like long-term holdings for 0% taxes.
Yeah.
And then there's not going to be a big issue, even if those things are reported, you don't need to really pay much on it. Yeah, so pair that with self-custody. I think it's a good mix. And then, yeah, the no KYC part, of course, I think most people, or like most Bitcoiners, there's a lot of let's say, virtue signaling about the no KYC part, but realistically, everyone has probably both stacks, right? KYC stack, no
So I'm
KYC
gonna I'm
stack.
gonna play devil's advocate here because I think we're growing into the future where Bitcoin will become. I mean, it's already become the asset that is unstoppable, that will be part of the financial system, and everything else can be manipulated, printed out, and basically issued according to political needs or whatnot. So. Bitcoin will go up in price and it will stick around. It will be around, and there's people who already use it, who already know that, and there's those who are kind of starting to embrace that. Maybe they think that they will diversify part of their portfolio into Bitcoin. It's fine. It's part of a journey, and you will all get there to the point where there's no point in diversifying anything else once you realize how important this thing is. But what I'm trying to say is that. Probably having some KYC Bitcoin is also a very good idea because there'll be legal frameworks that would allow you to, for example, use Bitcoin as a collateral at some point to, buy a property or
Yeah,
take
exactly.
a loan. Do you have any more insights? Like, what are the advantages of these scenarios?
Yeah, well, exactly. If you're planning to buy anything of larger kind of sums, if you just pull that money out of thin air, you're still gonna get the same questions at that point. It's like, where is this money? So it's like you could also see it as a deferred KYC at that point, because you will have to prove the source of funds at some point. That's why I think it's a good idea to have this KYC stack. Whether you did it back in 2017 and you know better about like no KYC stuff, still, right? You're gonna use it maybe for a house, maybe for a car, maybe as an inheritance. Inheritance can also obviously be an OKYC thing, but I don't know exactly how much time it's gonna take for the world to transition into native Bitcoin payments.
Yeah,
But whenever you need to interact with your traditional finance, which is 99% of society, you will need some kind of KYC stack. Um, yeah, so I agree with you on that front. Um, it's just pragmatic kind of choices you make. And because there are still good jurisdictions that are not really rogue yet, you can figure your way out with your Bitcoin. And then ultimately, I think you will be able to change jurisdictions if something goes wrong. If it's in self custody, you can just fly away and no one's going to be able to take it from you. So that's the good part.
that's the whole revolution part. Awesome. I know that you're doing something really smart with the referral codes as well. So there's a bump. Well, not there's a reward of 21,000 sats that people can get, right? If they sign through an affiliate links and they share them with their friends and family. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that works?
Yeah, sure. So we just launched a referral program for our web app, which basically gives you 21% revenue share from the friends you bring and that they, buy or sell Bitcoin. We charge 1% conversion fee. So you make 21% off of that 1% conversion fee. And your friends that sign up, they get 21,000 sats in a form of a cashback on the Wave card, which is our flagship product, a debit card that you can spend with anywhere Visa is accepted. Um, and yeah, the kind of the new part that I haven't seen around in these referral programs is that usually they are tailored for affiliates that just bring a lot of volume. But what if I just have a bunch of newbie friends that I just want to get into Bitcoin? They're not going to really trade much. They might trade like a couple €100, and I'm going to be making what, like $1 off of them. Usually that's not enough of an incentive for people to get to put in their effort. So what we are doing is the more people you're able to invite and onboard into Bitcoin, the lower fees you yourself get for your own conversions. So
That's amazing.
basically, if you invite one friend, you already get 10% off, effectively making your fees 0.9. Up to 3, 5, 10 friends, there's a level approach. Down to 21 friends. If you invite 21 friends, you get 0% fees forever.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's not, well, as long as you have an active account with us, obviously, but uh, it's a permanent discount.
Yeah,
And kind of the way we approach it is that if you're able to onboard 21 new Bitcoiners using WaveSpace,
yeah.
we are going to reward you with 0% fees
I think
for trading.
that is amazing. It's a very motivating incentive. So the QR code over there and the link bitcoinwalk.org/wave will take you to our affiliate referral link where you can claim your 21 sats as a cashback. You mentioned also the Wave card, which I thought was very cool idea because it's a Visa. Is it a Visa card? Is it a Mastercard?
Visa.
It's a Visa card. So it's a Visa card where you can be Satoshi Nakamoto, right?
Correct. Yeah. So
How is it done? Tell us about it.
so basically, it's a pseudonymous card that you can set any name you want. And while you still KYC with us, from the merchant's perspective, you don't need to reveal your name. You don't need to attach your name to your address. And that's, I think, solving part of the privacy issue, because you put in your details in like hundreds of different online stores. These are also single points of failure for your data. So if you have a pseudonymous card, that's not an issue anymore. It's a Bitcoin-only card. It's also the only debit card that is able to connect to your self-custodial Lightning node and spend from self-custody automatically. Yeah, we haven't seen this anywhere else. We have people deep in Bitcoin, praising for this feature, because finally they can, have like, essentially 99% of everything in their self-custody, but still be able to just go around and pay with it,
Yeah.
which is great, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to dive deep into this. I've been using my Wave card with Nostro Wallet Connect hooked up to my node, so I'm familiar with the drill. But I think it's a really cool concept that people can, as you said, people can actually run their nodes, keep the funds on their nodes, and just have a balance on the card that whenever you make any transaction or you use the balance, it tops up from your node to make sure that the balance on your cards is always there. Is it like how did you come up with this idea? Because it's a really innovative way to self custody.
Yeah, well, the Nostro Wallet Connect technology is created by Albi, like these guys. We were in touch with them and we saw what they were building, and it looked amazing. And we already had, Wavecard, and we're like, we can make it self-custodial, with because Nostro Wallet Connect is able to pull payments automatically, and we're like, okay, how can we make it in a way that Visa and card issuers are still fine with it, because they need to authorize payments, and to authorize payments, they need to see that particular amount of Bitcoin inside the platform. But at the same time, how can we then automatically replenish the balance, so that you don't need to manually top up? Because basically, the main issue is, with these crypto cards, you have two options. Either you deposit a lot of Bitcoin in it and then you just spend with it as you go, right? That's a custodial risk. Or you try to manage your balance low yourself. Let's say you deposit 200,000 sats every now and then, but then you have to do these manual deposits to keep the custodial risk low. What we were able to do is we were able to still give you this kind of a choice where you say, okay, I want to be able to pay 100 euros in one go at max. So that's how much you need to be keeping custodially on the card, which we call as your spending power.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you make any transaction, it just automatically replenishes back to that balance. It's like a single transaction limit that we set. And this is kind of part of the perfect setup for a Bitcoiner that I like to recommend to others. Is basically, let's say you have a fiat mine job and you're getting a salary in euros. You set up an automatic DCA from your euro IBAN into your self-custody, right? We give you a specific IBAN for your, let's say, cold storage.
Yeah.
And that just flows. You set up whatever you want. If you're a €0 Bitcoiner, you just, beam your whole salary into it, right? Plus, maybe you have all of your savings into that cold storage, and that's fully offline, fully safe. The seed is never exposed, right? That's 99% of your stack. Then you put, let's say, 1% of that into your self-custodial node on Lightning, which is your spending balance. still self-custodial, still safe, but online, so not cold storage level. And then you put 1% of that as a single transaction limit on your Wave card. And now you have these three levels of safety and three levels of access, all of them connected, and you're able to live your life while basically having the vast majority of your Bitcoin, except for a tiny bit on your card, fully self-custodially. No one can take it ever.
That's the best UX I can think of is possible for bringing any normies into like allowing them to stack Bitcoin. As you said, you just set one direct debit, however often you want, once a month or once a week, to make a transfer from your bank to another bank of yours, which then it gets converted and sent directly to your cold storage. That is the holy grail of how to get Bitcoin and to I think the key is that you because we're going through different volatility episodes, the cycle, and if you stick around for this through like those 4 years, chances are you'll be very happy with your decisions and your investments. And once you start getting that and you start understanding that this Bitcoin, this stuff, in your cold storage, unlike the rest of your money in your bank account, cannot be frozen, cannot be taken away from you, cannot be stopped. Tell me a little bit more about the state of technology in European Union. Like the Central Bank of Europe is embracing, the ECB is embracing CBDCs. They want to roll that out. What's your thoughts on that? What's going to be did you have any news on when that's going to happen or any pilots regions?
I don't know about that. I'm not really following that closely. The CBDC front, it's bad. I mean, I don't want to see it happen. It's probably gonna happen. For me, basically, CBDCs or stable coins or like companies building on just like only stable coins is the same kind of evil in a way, because it's still based on this kind of legacy inflatable monopoly money, as I call it. The idea is that they want to be able to check and be able to freeze based on your social interactions, I think, ultimately, right? So they can say, okay, this is your credit rating, you're not able to make these particular transactions. Again, the antidote to that is Bitcoin and self-custody, and then no one can tell you anything. But you will see, I think my prediction is that you will see more and more of that happening. I mean, Mika is part of it. You will see cash getting basically forbidden at some point fully. I think now they're reducing the limits, or they have reduced the limits of how much cash you can.
I think they're gonna play it in a very, very brutal and like cheeky, sneaky way, where through inflation, the value of money will go lower. The purchasing power of cash will any kind of money will go lower. But basically, whatever the limits are now are going to be in terms of purchasing power even smaller. And I think what
Yeah.
they can do is they can go to banks and say, hey. We're gonna introduce some additional fees for handling cash. So if you want to withdraw cash, you're gonna no, you want to withdraw 100 euros, you're gonna pay 10 euros fee for withdrawal. Basically, do everything to discourage people from using cash. They can. So I can totally see that they're doing that way, because it's not forbidding cash. Cash is still fine. It's still you can still use it. It's a pain in the ass. They're gonna make a laugh as hard as they can, but that's the tools they have, the tools they use, and yeah, I'm not disillusioned about how that's gonna roll. Awesome, Eivydas, tell me a little more about the Bitcoin Walk in Vilnius, because I know you guys been going on hikes there, right?
Yeah, huge shout out to Mindaugas from Bitvacation, who's the main organizer of this. We have this kind of a goal to walk around Vilnius in 21 Bitcoin walks. So it's like levels to it.
Okay.
There's this route around Vilnius which is 120 kilometers or something like that, which has a bunch of scenic views. just you get to know Vilnius and so on. So we are doing small kind of distances of that huge route every now and then. And yeah, it's been great. Sometimes it's just us two or three doing it, but we also had 8 people turn up, which was a record for us.
All time high.
Um, some Lithuanians coming back from different countries joining the Bitcoin walk. We also have, generally just people coming to Vilnius, right? They just started living in Vilnius.
Uh-huh.
They heard about Bitcoin walk, and they joined it because Bitcoiners move, right? And this is a great way to get to know some people
Yes.
in a new city, or even if you're new to Bitcoin, to get to know about Bitcoin. Some people are just literally traveling, right, staying in Vilnius for a week, doing a Bitcoin walk, then traveling out. So it's a perfect way to kind of have a casual talk. And again, I think I said it before at one of times we spoke back in Madeira. It's just so easy to it's just not demanding in any way, right? Like you can just walk, even if you're introverted. It's still so perfect because you're not kind of forced to speak about any particular topic. If you want, you can just go silently and you just watch the views. And some people talk, some people go on their foot. If you have something to say, or you want to just listen in, you
That's
don't,
that's what I
you
want
just,
to.
yeah, you don't feel any kind of, yeah,
Pressure.
basically pressure. Exactly, you don't feel pressure to do it. So I guess the first step is the hardest because you don't know what to expect. So the best is if you invite friends, and I think that's what worked for us the best. Is just you meet someone somewhere else, like come join for at least for one walk, and then they see the beauty of it, basically.
Yeah, amazing. I second that. I've been going on Bitcoin walks and meeting new people every Saturday, and I feel that actually, I'm not a technical person. I'm not a genius in terms of Bitcoin.
Mhm.
I was lucky that I could actually meet so many people and have those conversations, or just listen to other people talk, which was probably the most educational part for me. All the time, when I hear other people ask questions, like what is their, like, what are their concerns, what are they looking into, what technology they're trying, what tools they're using, wallets, how they get Bitcoin with KYC, without KYC. So yeah, the format of Bitcoin Walk, I do advise anyone. If you have any friend who is kind of maybe ready, just bring them to a Bitcoin Walk. Make them meet other Bitcoiners and people who understand how this works, who understand the drill. Like from my experience, if we're bringing someone who's like, yeah, I'm not sure, and we get to spend 2 hours together with 5 or 10 Bitcoiners, they're gonna take that away from the walk. There's no way coming back. So it's kind of what's it called, the force pilling of hours.
and
Um,
and and also, they might take back like some brownies, some jerkies. In Madeira, you guys are exchanging. We here too, we do it with honey,
Amazing.
with people just like baking some brownies. It's always kind of the same formula that, or the pattern that transpires, which is great. I think it's back to the beginning of humanity, of just like the basic kind of bartering and exchanging ideas, which has something beautiful about it, and relaxing as well.
That is phenomenal, and I agree. We treat Bitcoin as money, so yeah, we save it, but we also spend it, and that's what your company is promoting as well. Saving, like opting out of the weak money, the leaking money, the fiat money that keeps on
Mhm.
losing value, and park your time and your energy in something that is sound and basically will last for generations, and something that nobody can take away from you as well. So that's really cool, and I think the communities that are shaping up, and those those small tradings, whether it's brownies or beer jerky or kombucha or bread. We're buying all sorts of things here.
Yeah.
I think even now in the kind of bear market, when you get to buy spend some sats, it costs you more sats than it would be when Bitcoin was 125 26,000. But I still kind of like doing that because I know that I'm paying for a quality product that I really like and really enjoy with the money that the other person deserves to get because they did the work. They did, they put their time and effort into producing something, and I want them to be rewarded. And I want these sats to be with those people. So there's something metaphysical about that. That my time and value all of a sudden gets transferred to another person for their work, and
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
need governments for that. Governments, politicians, central banks are not needed for that. This is something that is happening peer to peer. It's my choice. I vote with my money. And I had a very interesting conversation yesterday because one of the domains that I'm running in Poland actually was expiring, and I had to renew that. And the price of the domain when I was buying it was like almost like €1, something that really cheap. And it came with a packet, like security package, whatnot, blah blah blah. And now after 1 year, when the renewal comes, they're asking me for like almost €100, €80 for the renewal, and it says that it includes this security package. So I say, well, do you know what? I don't need a security package. Just make it lower. It's like, well, sorry, you cannot change the package of the domain.
Wow.
And then I say, well, that's too expensive. I don't want it. And the guy says like, well, I can offer you 10% discount. And I said, do you know what? Like, no, like I will, I
Yeah.
purchase if you give me 40% discount. And then the guy goes like, well, the best I can do is 25% discount. And I talked with my friends with whom we're running this project, and we said, do you know what? This is predatory. This is
Super. Yeah.
exactly the fiat bullshit that we opt out. We're gonna vote with our money. We're not giving those guys money because like we're gonna lose the domain. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But that's a conscious decision that we're making, not to support the predatory system that does that. And I wrote a very kind message to the consultants. Hey, look, I've discussed it with my partners, and we decided we're going to continue our work on Nostro only. We don't need your domain. Also, your behavior, the reason we're not doing that is because we don't agree with your ethics, with the way you conduct the business, and we don't want to be supporting this kind of company. And I had some missed calls from the guy trying to call me to what's going on. I said,
30%
you know
discount.
what? Yeah, well, I mean, I don't. But it came
Yeah.
to me when we got to see when you got to really realize what it means that we all vote with our money, the way we spend our money, the way we project our economic power. This is our vote of confidence into businesses, and I wholeheartedly recommend WaveSpace as a way to onboard yourself to acquire Bitcoin, the sound money that is still very much misunderstood or understood by majority of people, and that you guys made super simple to get hold of. So yeah, vote with your money and spend them where it's honest. The fact that you guys have 1% fee, across all your products, it's really really commendable. I think that it's. I want to ask you, like, how do you sustain a business with that? I mean, you must have a lot of customers.
We are still small, but we have lean like business operations, so we are able to sustain this because we don't have 50 employees running this show, and also we specifically structured our product to be able to expand horizontally in a way that allows us to piggyback on other partners that already acquired licenses and infrastructure to be able to offer this in a cheap format. So that's what I mean by like building blocks. Previously, let's say in 2019 when we were building this Bitcoin banking app, the founders, they had to spend millions to acquire e-money licenses, to get the whole legal team to go through the process with the FCA. and that took years, and that took us getting to like 50 employees, spending millions. Obviously, at that point, they are trying to make the money back. It's too expensive. They can't get customers. There's loads of issues. So we learned from this, and we're trying to just put together something that works. We can offer it in a sustainable price where we make money,
Yeah,
and we can pay for operations. And yeah, I think 1% is fair for a card. Is basically one of the cheapest out there, because you have Coinbase charging 6, 7, 8% sometimes if you combine all the spreads, all the FX fees. Like for us, for example, we don't take any FX fee. So because Bitcoiners are global, if you travel out to other countries and you pay in non-euro denominated countries, you're still gonna get converted Bitcoin at 1% because the FX fee is zero for us. So we try to make it fair and transparent. And fully transparently, the card itself is not really making us much money because the margins are thin, and we only charge 1%.
yeah.
But when you make bigger conversions, when for example, liquidate to your bank, or you buy some Bitcoin to your bank, and we charge 1%, that's where we have cheaper operations, and we can essentially make some revenue. And that's how we
Sir,
roll, basically.
I salute you for that. I think it's a very great and honest and fair way to to run a business. And I wish that there are more companies doing like learning from you guys, from your sort of ethics and mindset on how to run. And it's not only because it's Bitcoin, because it's a well executed, lean and agile business model. That's what I'm trying to get. It's I've been watching you guys for a while, and obviously we've known each other for a while now as well. So in terms of exchanges, I do recommend I could recommend using
Yeah.
onboarding for Wave. I've got a QR code on the screen as well. People can scan and use our affiliate link. I'm going to promote it because if I get more people to sign up for my link, then I get even bigger discount on the transactions that I make myself. So that's
Yes.
appreciated.
Perfect. Yeah,
Um,
I think you mentioned a couple of minutes ago also this point about spending Bitcoin, right? And we get this question a lot, where like, why are you guys promoting selling Bitcoin or spending Bitcoin? And the answer is that if you have euros around, go ahead, spend euros, spend all those soft currencies first. But the kind of ideal customer we are looking for, and what we are trying, or even if you're not there yet, like what we're trying to kind of paint as a North Star, is that you get fully off of fiat. And at these times when Bitcoin is low, it might look scary, but you can still have a fiat mine, right? You get the salary, you convert that to Bitcoin. And if you are really truly all in Bitcoin, you have no other choice than to spend it, because you still need to pay for your life, right? So that's when Wavecard makes sense, is because I'm not saying, now Bitcoin is down 50%, you have like 1% allocated to Bitcoin, go spend it with the Wavecard. It doesn't make sense, obviously. But if you're truly already all the way in the journey and you have to live your life, that's when Wavecard makes the most sense. If
yeah,
you're still on the path into getting to becoming a €0 Bitcoiner, use the DCA product, use our link product, set up a recurring purchase, and just forget about it for like a number of years. It's going to go straight to your self custody. So you always can check it. You always know that it's not going to be taken by anyone. So we have these two types of customers that I think we can serve for, and it's important to recognize I think the difference here.
absolutely. Eivydas, tell us what's on your roadmap. What's the next steps for WaveSpace?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Firstly, obviously, we're basically now working as hard as possible to get all the MiCA requirements in place for July 1st. The product is going to change slightly, although, again, we're trying to look through the Bitcoiners lens here and try to still make it as seamless as possible, so that, for example, your auto top up still works for NWC and there's no blockage every single time you deposit through Lightning. and we are able to achieve that. We're also able to continue doing the automatic DCA, which is generally it's not easy because of MiCA requirements, but we will be able to do that. After that, we have a couple of things in the pipeline. So we want to launch a native app, which is going to be a self-custodial wallet, right? First, so currently, and we will continue, supporting any setup you have, any Bitcoin setup you have. You can connect it via MWC if you have a Lightning wallet, or you can do the DCA with any on-chain address. But we want to kind of propose the best possible UX with a self-custodial wallet at the core of it, which is a native app. Protected by passkeys, protected by biometrics, using all the the hardware capabilities that now phones have with the secure enclaves, and then also providing all of the new features that technologies like Arc can offer for a self-custodial wallet. So that's going to be a big thing for us. We have loans on the roadmap too, although still it's at the research phase. We want to be able to offer something that is compelling to people because it's part of the banking suite, right? You want to, if you think about like your everyday banking, you want to be able to spend your money, earn your money, and save it. And then also you want to be able to borrow against your capital. In this case, money and capital is the same thing, right? Like money is your asset. So loans is on our roadmap. We want to be able to offer it this year, hopefully. And then we are also looking further down the line at some kind of an earn product that is not referral rewards, but rather a yield, a self-custodial yield. And that's also a holy grail, which is super hard to achieve. For example, back in 2019, we had the yield product that was custodial, loans-based, rehypothecated, not nice, but because like there's risk with it, we don't want to do it because we don't want to risk losing people's capital.
I'm having the goose meme in mind. Where does the yield come from?
Exactly. So what we want to do is something that runs around either Lightning liquidity or maybe even Arc liquidity, and is able to essentially deploy self-custodially for routing fees and maybe earn you anywhere from 1% to 2%. It's not going to be crazy. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah,
you will not be able to offer 8% on Bitcoin, right?
yeah.
But I think Bitcoin itself is increasing in purchasing power. That's great. If you're also able to offer even a 1% self-custodial yield, I think that's amazing. So
Absolutely.
that's a bit further down the road. And then another interesting point, which we will be able to offer, just not sure exactly when, is third-party payments. And that's something for Euro side. And that's something that I think is going to complete it als almost like having a full bank account in Bitcoin. Because what's missing now is that when you transact with us, you have to deposit from an account in your name.
Yeah.
But what we want to be able to achieve is that you just give your employer your WaveSpace IBAN, and they might be sending you euros, you receive Bitcoin. So we want to be able to do it on all possible fronts. With a self-custodial wallet, you will be able, maybe some friends, they are shitcoiners, they have stable coins. You give them some kind of a USDC address, they send it, it arrives as Bitcoin. Your employer sends euros, you give a WaveSpace IBAN, they send euros, you get Bitcoin. So basically, we want to be able to intake everything that people want to send
Amazing.
into Bitcoin, and you just have one single base money, which is sound. Doesn't matter what others believe in. You have your own truth.
So
You're able to
basically,
bank with it, and you just live your life like that.
so basically, you're saying that your employer could send your salary into your cold storage.
Basically,
Wow.
without even knowing about it.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Cool. Eivydas, we've come to an hour. It's an awesome conversation, and I do appreciate you taking the time. I think we should catch up on regular basis in a couple of months, maybe. You mentioned Arc twice, so something points me that maybe you'll be doing some stuff on Arc.
Yeah, could be. We are looking into that. I think it has great potential to become, this layer 2 programmable money. And it also, is very well aligned with our kind of banking ideas for it, which is still self-custodial because, you have unilateral exit. It works with VTXOs instead of UTXOs. We like this model a lot because it's very much still native to Bitcoin. Yeah, we are exploring this route. I think it's going to be very interesting in a couple of months. Obviously, ARC is still super new. They need to get more adoption. We might help drive it.
Fantastic. I'd love to see that. I've tested some Arc wallets, and yeah, I can see that this is a new game, and I still haven't done too many transactions, so my feedback is very limited. But that's something that I'm looking into next. So hopefully, we'll see more happening in that space. Awesome, Eivydas, thank you again for the time. Where can people find you and find more about WaveSpace?
On Nostr, preferably at WaveSpace, or via X, WaveSpace_. Our website is wave.space. And we have a Telegram group too, where you can talk with us anytime. It's a small community of early adopters sharing ideas about living on Bitcoin, about using WaveSpace for that. And also that's where we gather all the product ideas, because essentially we are building it together with our community, and we are using the product ourselves and trying to make it as compelling as possible for a European Bitcoiner.
Amazing. Thanks so much for the time. That's been very big pleasure for me to talk to you and to see you again. And I invite everybody to check out WaveSpace and to check out Bitcoin Walk and to go for your Bitcoin Walk or start one wherever you are. Every Saturday, TikTok, next blog. We'll see you on the next one.
Amazing. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.